All right. To the phones of 42 Degrees, the Source Hotline. Caller Brian's here. Hey, Brian.
First time, long time. Glad to be on.
What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just out there practicing in about 25 yards from me, and I'm just minding my own business here in the hallway at the Hawks Champion Center. That's what's going on.
And you're talking about them practicing, or if you know.
Hey,
yeah,
let's be careful how that's perceived. I won't have a press pass any longer. But no, I'm not paying any attention to the practice. My head is looking out at the parking lot.
Okay, good.
The A lot here, full lot. It's hard to get spots now with classes starting up here soon.
Be careful. Back. I heard that the ticket people, the people who give out parking tickets are really come back around once school starts.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Supposedly this lot by Hawks is an A lot. Now this means nothing to the listener, but that's one pass that's like the best thing I own is a parking pass that has that A lot on it.
Yeah, it's really important.
I value that more than my dogs almost, and I don't say that lightly, but that's about where it sits.
Yeah, they'll get you. That's for sure if you don't have it. I'm glad you do though. Not playing by the rules. Brian Christopherson of Husker 247 with us. So I wanted to ask you about freshmen that are going to play. Rule mentioned a few. Obviously, we know about Raiola. Carter Nelson will factor into the equation. Vincent Shavers is going to factor into the equation. There's one more obvious one that I'm missing.
Corey Barney.
Barney's obviously going to factor into the equation. I have a sense, BC, that there's more than just those guys who are going to either skip a red shirt this year or be on some sort of like red shirt share program for Nebraska. Do any other names come to your mind as far as young guys who are going to play a role for this team this year?
That's a good phrase to coin. Red shirt share. That's how you can do it. Four here, 4 there. I think Amari Sanders is a name that's really come up multiple times during fall camp. Now, obviously, it seems like Marquise Buford's that corner opposite Tommy Hill. But after that, I think Amari's right there with like Jeremiah Charles and some of those guys. So he would be one. I thought an interesting name that Rule mentioned the other day was Willis McGahee IV, who I didn't by any means, I wasn't under the impression he was having a bad camp or anything. He just hadn't come up as much, partly because Prince Will's at that spot, MJ Sherman at that jack spot. So you have kind of some guys seemingly in front of him. But he got mentioned as someone who could play a little bit too. But I guess what really stands out, if you want to take a theme from the freshmen, it's the Miami crew. I mean, you've got Shavers, Ja'Cory Barney, Amari Sanders, Willis McGahee, and Larry Tarver is a guy they've liked too. He's just had some injuries, I think, that have kind of slowed his opportunity. So it's very possible they could have like 3 of those 5 Miami guys burn a red shirt this year. In fact, I would say it's likely, especially with Barney and Shavers. I mean, those are the 2 lead names. And I just think Barney's going to be a fascinating guy to watch this season, how they use him. Can they use him as a runner as much as a receiver and some different things you do? And also, can he win like a punt return job at some point in the year?
Yeah, I think you're just, I think about that defensive backfield, and that's where Sanders, a guy like Amari Sanders comes into play. You just think about the position and the guys that are going to be out there. I mean, the top, 5 who are gonna play for Nebraska this year. But there's going to have to be more than that. I mean, there's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys who play back there. So, and basically everybody else who's not on that top group is really young, either a redshirt freshman or a freshman. So if you're just playing the odds, I mean, you got to think a couple of those freshman young defensive backs are going to get in the mix somewhere. It's just kind of finding out who now.
Mm-hmm. Mario Buford could be a guy to watch. He's very much like his brother Marquise, and just a quick study of things, can move around a lot of different spots like his brother. He pops up too. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the secondary, I think there's going to be a true freshman or 2 who probably goes over 4 games. And you hope there's obviously not injuries to anybody in your top 5 on the back end, but we know how it goes. It's a long season, and that's asking a lot. So at some point you're going to need somebody who's a younger player to step up big time. Bly Hill, it's good that he's back, obviously. He's still a young college player, though. He played 1 year at St. Francis, PA, of college football. So all those guys have a good chance to I would say, carve out space where they're important this year, and then they're kind of setting themselves up for 2025 and beyond, too, while doing that.
BC, in the wake of the Raiola announcement this week, I really liked your angle that you took on Husker 247, which was like, hey, let's sit back and this is kind of a reason to celebrate. Like, you don't have to throw a parade or put too much wild expectations on the guy, but there's as much confidence for the position right now as there's been. That's just not, by the way, that's not just Raiola. That's the position as a whole as you look at it. For the future. I really thought that was a good angle to take. And I do think there was some celebratory moods going on in the fan base this week after that announcement.
Yeah, I'm as guilty of that as anybody doing what I was writing about, where basically you take an announcement like that and you think like, well, yeah, I knew that was coming. Big deal, like I knew in June or July this was what was going to happen. You have to sometimes step out of the forest, I think, and look at the whole thing and be like, 9-10 months ago, whatever it was, in that December, I guess, when everything flipped, you wouldn't have ever guessed this. Like, Dylan Raiola is going to be the guy here. We were having conversations in early December about, Kyle McCord and like what he could do in a season. And then there was that 2 days where we were talking about like, well, what if you had McCord for a year and he's the bridge to Raiola? And I was like on that.
That would have been awesome.
Speaking that nonsense. And now I think back and I'm like, what a dumb freaking take by me. Like, like think about if like Kyle McCord were here right now.
And Dylan Raiola is sitting on the bench.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, now that you're actually here, you're like, man, that would have been so silly, and what a weird situation. McCord would have thrown, if he started, would have thrown a pick in the first quarter against Colorado. Everybody beat Channing Raiola. Anyway, I'm talking about a hypothetical that didn't come true, but we were having those conversations 9 months ago. And so you do need to take a step back and say, it's amazing what all transpired. I always think like in sports, we hold out these ideas like, wouldn't it be awesome if this happened, if this guy hit this home run in this exact spot in this game, you're watching, and rarely does it actually come to be. And then once in a while, you really got to stop when it does and say, this is an awesome story. You've got one of the most watched true freshmen in college football in your backyard. His dad's name is on the wall. And he's going to be taking the first snap on August 31st. And very, very few people have done that at the University of Nebraska. Tommy Frazier didn't even start till the 6th game. So that was my point, is you gotta recognize a milestone, even if a month ago everybody said, yeah, that's obvious that's going to happen. We didn't think that 9 months ago.
Right, exactly. It's crazy to think about when you put it that way. Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7's with us. Just one more for you. So Rule will be talking in a couple minutes, and then he'll talk again on Monday. So we'll have a lot of time to get out whatever question we need to get out. I was interested in what he said last weekend about kind of he was asked like how the scrimmage went. He said, well, we got we're a good team because we got a bunch of guys who can execute. I'm paraphrasing. And, I think at that point he was looking for guys to, make some plays. And that's how they're going to kind of get to that next level. Is that what in your opinion, it seems like in his opinion, is kind of missing the unknown for this group? How much further beyond they could take it beyond just, hey, we're going to be out there and we're going to actually do things right. We're going to execute.
Yeah. Can you go defense is a great example. Very solid last year. Everybody kind of patted them on their back. Now, can you go be a defense that just takes games away yourself? Like you have that pick six, you have that forced fumble that you're running back. Do you have the type of playmakers that can get home with a 4-man rush? And that's what they've been working at all off season to build that up. And that's the next step for that unit. And then the next part of that is, I think he has talked a lot in recent days about the second team guys. He knows it's going to take a lot of depth this season to get through it and do it the way you want to. And you have to have those guys who are on your second unit who don't really think they're of themselves as I'm a backup. They believe that I should be playing as much as this guy, and I'm going to go show you why. They need to have that mindset from them. I think this is an important few days. He mentioned it on his radio show. There's some guys over right now are on that field, just by me, who probably found out they're second or third on the depth chart. And when this month began, they hoped they were first, or they were number one or something. How are those guys going to respond to their current role? Are they going to still stay with the process like you want so that they're ready when their moment's going to come? And I think that's the thing they're really focused on building within their locker room right now.
All right, BC, we'll let you go. Thanks for taking a minute, and thanks for not divulging any secrets from practice. You're a good man.
Yep. I had my back turned down that door the whole time. I want that to be on the record. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Brian. That's Brian Christopherson of Husker 247. That's a stand-up guy. He could have peeked through that window. I know what he's talking about. There's a double door to the field where he's standing in the lobby of the Hawks Championship Center. There's a double door that leads to the field, and on that door is that one of those little slit windows, like the
like in elementary school.
Exactly. Just a slit. He could have been watching through the slit of that window and telling us what he's seeing. What he would have seen? Nothing. He wouldn't have seen anything. He's there goes Larry Tarver. There goes Keona Davis. I just saw that. He didn't. No secrets.